I never imagined I'd end up in a situation like this. I always believed that love, once earned, carried a certain weight, a loyalty that didn't crumble under pressure or temptation. My name is Ethan. I'm 39, and I've been married to Sophie for 12 years. 12 years of highs and lows, laughter and arguments, but I always thought there was commitment beneath it all. I had my flaws, sure, but I worked hard, both for my family and for our relationship. I believed effort mattered. Apparently, I was wrong. It started like any regular Thursday. Sophie came home, her hair tied up in that messy bun she often wore when exhausted from work. I greeted her with a kiss on the cheek, a gesture I'd repeated countless times over the years. She gave a faint smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. That should have been my first warning, but I ignored it. I've learned that ignorance can feel like a shield when reality is unbearable. Later that evening, as we sat in the living room, I tried to start a conversation, something light, maybe even a little funny. I wanted to feel normal again. That's when she dropped it, as casually as if she were talking about the weather.
Ethan, she said.
I think I'd be happier with someone else. I laughed nervously at first, thinking it was a joke. My heart started racing. She didn't laugh.
She didn't even look at me.
Her words cut through the room like ice. I've been thinking, I could be with someone else, someone better suited for me. I sat there, stunned. No words came at first. My mind raced through every possible response, every excuse, every apology I could imagine. I wanted to argue, to beg, to make her see she was wrong. But a voice inside me, one I hadn't known existed until that moment, whispered quietly, "You deserve clarity, not chaos." I took a deep breath. My fingers were numb from gripping the couch's armrest. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time that night. Sophie had always been beautiful, vibrant, full of life. But now there was a coldness in her eyes I hadn't seen before. Not sadness, not anger, just a mechanical certainty that this was what she wanted. "Do you mean you want me gone?" I asked, slowly, carefully, my voice low and steady. She nodded almost imperceptibly, her lips pressed together in that way that said she didn't want an argument either. I didn't panic. I didn't yell. I simply said, "If that's how you feel, I understand. But I need you to hear me clearly." Her brow furrowed slightly, curiosity flickering across her face. "What do you mean?" "I mean this," I said, my voice calm, even eerily so considering what I was feeling inside. "You say you want someone else. You think you'd be happier. I won't fight you. I won't beg. But I will not shrink myself. I will not grovel for your approval. I will leave if that's what you want, but I will leave with my dignity intact. More than that, I will leave knowing exactly who I am." She blinked at me. Silence stretched for a long moment, long enough that I could feel the weight of every year we'd spent together pressing down on us. I saw the flicker of doubt, a hesitation, like maybe she hadn't expected me to respond this way. You're just going to let me walk?" she whispered. "Yes," I replied. "I'm giving you the choice you say you want. But I'm not trading my self-respect for anyone. Not tonight, not ever. I gave you 12 years of my life. I loved you with everything I had. And now I need to honor myself as well." Her hands trembled slightly as she set down her wine glass. I could see it. I could feel it. And in that moment, I realized something vital. This wasn't about her being right or me being wrong. This was about boundaries. Understanding that love is not measured in possession, control, or desire. It's measured in respect. And if that respect disappears, nothing else can fill the emptiness. Sophie opened her mouth as if to argue, plead, or maybe even apologize. But I stood before she could speak. I packed a small bag, clothes, wallet, phone, and left quietly. There were no dramatic gestures, no shouting, no slamming doors. Just the calm, deliberate steps of a man reclaiming his life from someone who no longer valued it. As I walked out, a strange sense of liberation washed over me, like surfacing for air after being submerged. The shock, the betrayal, the confusion, they all lingered. But beneath it was something new. Clarity. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt a glimmer of peace. I walked to my car. The night air was crisp against my face. Streetlights flickered along the empty road, but I hardly noticed. My thoughts were sharp, focused, and uncharacteristically calm. For years, I had measured my worth by her approval, by the little signs of love I thought were mutual. Tonight, I realized my value wasn't tied to anyone else, not even her. The drive was silent. Each mile seemed to shed the weight of expectation and disappointment built over the last decade. I thought of all the small gestures now feeling hollow. The dinners I made, the compliments that went unnoticed, the nights I stayed up comforting her while ignoring my own exhaustion. None of it mattered to her anymore. But it mattered to me. It had been real. When I arrived at my friend Mason's, I didn't explain immediately. I simply walked in, dropped my bag by the couch, and let the silence speak. Mason gave me that knowing look. He'd seen this before. The slow unraveling of a marriage that looked perfect from the outside. "Rough night?" he asked. I nodded, keeping my voice low. "You handled it well," he said carefully. "I'd have lost it." I shook my head. "Not tonight," I said. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to reclaim myself." "She wants someone else?" he asked. I nodded. "Fine. I won't stand in her way. But I won't let this break me." The following days were strange, almost surreal. I kept busy with work, ran errands, and spent time with friends. Sophie texted once, asking to talk, but I didn't respond. The more she tried to pull me back, the clearer it became. This wasn't about love. It was about control, testing whether I'd grovel, whether I'd sacrifice my dignity for someone who no longer valued me. Perspective shifted quickly when I stopped fighting for someone else's affection. I noticed things I hadn't before, small acts of kindness from friends, genuine laughter with family, the simple joy of solitude. For the first time in years, my life felt like my own again. Sophie called again, her voice trembling, trying to justify herself. I listened briefly. Her excuses didn't matter. I had already made my choice. I wasn't angry or bitter. I was done. Done with the illusion that my happiness depended on someone who had chosen a different path. Weeks passed. I slowly rebuilt my routines, joined a new gym, started running again, even picked up a guitar I hadn't touched in years. Each small victory reminded me that life moves forward, even after betrayal, even after heartbreak. And in that, I discovered a strength I hadn't known I possessed. Then, one evening, I ran into Sophie at a mutual friend's gathering. I sensed her gaze before seeing her. Regret flickered in her eyes, thinly veiled, but it lacked the sincerity that mattered to me. I smiled politely, nodded, and walked past. Inside, I felt a strange closure. No confrontation, no theatrics, just the quiet satisfaction of a man who refused to be diminished by someone else's choices. Later, reflecting on everything, I realized the lesson wasn't just about betrayal or heartbreak. It was about boundaries, self-respect, and the courage to let go. You can love someone deeply, but if they don't return that respect and care, love alone isn't enough. What matters is your response. You can crumble or you can stand firm, beg or walk away with dignity. I chose dignity. And in that, I found something extraordinary. Freedom. Not the chaotic kind fueled by revenge or anger, but the calm, deliberate freedom of a man who knows his worth and refuses to let anyone redefine it. Sophie moved on as she said she would. I moved forward. The pain lingered briefly, but it never controlled me. Every morning, I woke knowing I had made the right choice, not just for myself, but for the life I deserved. That night, years of compromise and quiet suffering were replaced with clarity, strength, and peace. And that, I realized, is more powerful than any love that isn't mutual. Stronger than relationships built on control, fear, or fleeting desire. When you honor yourself first, refusing to trade your dignity for someone else's whims, you win in a way no betrayal can take away. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I didn't make a scene. I simply walked away. Calm, deliberate, unwavering. And that simple act left everyone who knew our story, including Sophie, speechless.